Hey everybody, welcome back to this very first episode of MDRX Rivalry. Today's subject is the 6.5 Creedmoor. So this is my favorite MDRX 6.5 Creedmoor setup, and we're going to talk about it today. So let's get into the subject of the 6.5 Creedmoor, how you want to set it up, what its pros and cons are, and we'll discuss that in detail. The 6.5 Creedmoor conversion kit for the MDRX features a 20-inch 8-twist barrel in a large frame configuration, so it uses SR25 pattern magazines, and it also uses our forward ejecting system. As a large frame conversion kit, it shares all the same parts with 308 conversion kits. So you'll use the same magazine, same ejection system, same bolt and everything. So swapping between a 6.5 and a 308 is as simple as swapping out the barrel. The first topic that we're going to discuss on this rifle is accuracy. On average, MDRX rifles get between 1 and 1.5 MOA accuracy, 3-shot groups at 100 yards. That is average. Some rifles are better, some rifles not so much. This particular one seemed to perform a little bit better than average. This one averaged a 5-shot group that was about a 3/4 inch group, so a little better than average. Our accuracy test consisted of taking the best 5-shot group from each rifle fired at 100 yards. The ammunition that we used to achieve these groups was the Federal Gold Medal match that utilizes the Berger 130 grain bullet. We also got some respectable groups using Desert Tech 140 grain match that produced 1-inch groups. Another good option for something that's perhaps a little more economical was the American Eagle 120 grain load. We also found that to do well, averaging groups around 1.5 inches. So depending on your purposes for this rifle, the 130 and 140 grain loads would do well for competition shooting, medium to long range shooting, or even hunting. Also, if downrange performance and energy on target are not your priority, the American Eagle 120 grain load would have also done well. There are plenty of other good ammunition choices for this rifle. One thing you need to make sure of is that the overall length of your ammunition will fit inside the SR25 pattern magazine. Some loads are a little longer than others, and some of them don't fit well in these magazines. One of the MDRX's biggest strengths is its compact nature. This makes the rifle more effective in compact spaces. Using the 20-inch barrels in the MDRX does reduce its compact nature somewhat, but it is still significantly shorter than regular 20-inch carbines like in an AR style rifle. At just under 32 inches, the 20-inch MDRX is still shorter than most conventional rifles. This also will help you negotiate obstacles and maneuver through barricades and so forth. The center balance of the MDRX will also allow you better one-handed manipulation. So if you're deploying from a vehicle or opening doors, those types of things, the more compact nature of the MDRX will give you an advantage. One of the advantages of shooting the longer configured MDRX rifles is it allows you much more space up here for accessories, whether that be a bipod or weapon lights or anything else that you want to attach to the front of your rifle. You've got a lot more real estate to mount those accessories to. Our mobility test put all the different MDRX rifles against each other on a timed course of fire. The shorter the time to complete the course of fire showed the more maneuverable rifle. While shooting the 6.5 MDRX against other configurations of the MDRX on a course of fire, we found that the 6.5 was about 1.5 seconds slower, probably due to its longer length and more of a challenge getting it in and out of barricades and other obstacles. This may or may not be a big deal to you depending on what your specific purpose is for this rifle. Obviously, if you're going to be hiking around on a mountain with the rifle, you're not worried about negotiating through a car door. The 20-inch 6.5 MDRX may not be the ideal close quarters rifle. It's still a very effective setup for shooting something like a 2 or 3 gun match or a precision carbine class. The 6.5 Creedmoor MDRX boasts some of the best downrange energy numbers for any of the MDRX conversion kits. Its higher muzzle velocity and efficient bullet design produce a 230 feet per second higher velocity at 1,000 yards when compared to 175 grain 308 load. The added velocity and energy at these ranges allow the 6.5 to do a better job at penetrating targets and barriers. By installing the 6.5 Creedmoor conversion kit in your MDRX, you can easily be shooting 1,000 yards. If your maximum range is dictated by velocity or energy, you can use TraceAll to reverse engineer your maximum range for this cartridge. For downrange scoring purposes of all MDRX configurations, we measured velocity and energy at 500 yards. The well-balanced MDRX will help keep the shooter on target. Features like the ratchet compensator will reduce the recoil and muzzle rise to keep you on target for fast follow-up shots. The recoil impulse from the 6.5 Creedmoor MDRX is more manageable than a 308 for comparison, but obviously not as manageable as, for example, a smaller 223 or 300 blackout version of the rifle. Our controllability test involves shooting all MDRX rifles against each other, shooting a timed 5-shot group on steel at 50 yards. This to see which one produced the fastest and smallest group size. We found that the 6.5 was about a second and a half slower than shooting something that is a little bit more manageable, such as a 223. All MDRX rifles are a lot easier to manipulate single-handedly than a conventional rifle, though the longer barrels, like this 6.5 Creedmoor for example, are not as easy to manage as the shorter versions of the rifle, so keep that in mind. So if you need the highest levels of controllability or single-handed operation, then you may want to consider something a little shorter like the 16-inch 223. The 6.5 Creedmoor MDRX truly shines when you put a suppressor on the end of it. The adjustable gas system of the MDRX allows you to tune the operation of the rifle to increase the performance, which often results in better accuracy as well. The muzzle of the 6.5 Creedmoor is threaded 5/8-24, and it works great with any of your 308 or 6.5 caliber suppressors. Traditional built baffled suppressors typically work well on the gas setting 1 or 2, and the newer flow-through style cans typically work fine on the 3 or 4 setting. When used in conjunction with a suppressor, the MDRX in 6.5 Creedmoor becomes a very valuable hunting tool. It's perfect for something like exterminating feral hogs or shooting across a canyon at a mule deer. Other add-ons that you can put onto the rifle to better fit your purposes are things like this Mantis handguard. I like the built-in bipod. It's handy to have. It's on the gun all the time. We also offer the ALX handguard, which doesn't have the bipod, but it gives you increased rigidity, and you've got all this extra space. You can put accessories, sling mounts, weapon lights, bipods, whatever it is you want to put on there will fit on these M-LOK compatible handguards. The MDRX in 6.5 Creedmoor truly deserves a quality optic on top. Sure, you could use a red dot or a Neotech or something like that, but honestly, the range that this caliber is useful for, it really deserves a good rifle scope, whether that be an LVPO, a 1-10 variable. If that's what you want to run, great. I like this 3-17. I think it's a perfect match for this particular setup. One thing I would definitely recommend, make sure you buy the best scope you can afford. You'll thank me for it later. The 6.5 MDRX is a perfect rifle to put behind the seat of your truck or throw over your shoulder to go hiking through the mountains. It would definitely make an ideal primary or secondary configuration for your rifle. It truly does give the best long-range performance of any of the MDRX configurations. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video on the 6.5 Creedmoor MDRX. We'll see you guys on the next episode of MDRX Rivalry. We'll see you then.